This is Crow Inquisitors, and we are here with the last part of Season 1, our fun little post-mortem thing we're going to do with the whole gang, minus Trevor, I guess. But, you know, Sergio was only on like 2 episodes of Season 1, so I'm not sure he'd have a lot to contribute anyway. We'll see if we can get him for Season 2, post-mortem, whenever that comes out. But we're here with the gang, and we're going to talk about Season 1 in all of its guts and glory. But first, let's go ahead and introduce ourselves just, you know, for voice recognition purposes. Obviously, I'm Caleb, and I'm the game master. And then we have David.
Hello, I'm David. I played Dylan.
Yeah. Connor.
I am Connor. I played Cantarius.
Is that a question?
And my voice is destroyed, so I am whispering.
I was like, are you making a voice? What's going on? I forgot your voice.
Jared.
I am Jared, and I play Alphonse.
Indeed. Josh.
Hey, I'm Josh. I play Antonius Ram.
And Adam.
I am Adam. I played Theo.
So we're here. It has been quite a while since all of us were in the same place. I guess that's not necessarily true. We did do some sessions of Orphans of the American Dream together, so that was fun. But it's always good to get back in touch with y'all and talk about some fun stuff. So Season 1 of Crow Inquisitors is all behind us now. It was a monumental task to edit all of that. It was pretty crazy. But over the year of 2021, is all released. It released the last episode on Christmas Day. So big sigh of relief there. And of course, as the madman I am, I'm already editing Year of Raging Winds, the side thing that we have next in the Crow Inquisitors series. But so just to get us started here, what are your guys' general thoughts on Season 1? Anything that like jumps out to you as like favorite things about it? What it was like joining the group and you know, starting the group for the first time? Anything like that?
I'll go. I was thinking one of my favorite things about doing this was how unexpected things will happen. You know, you're like, oh, you know, I want to do this pretty, you know, mundane task, and then you fail, and then it completely changes the trajectory of your character and what you were aiming. You're like, oh, that didn't work at all. Now what am I going to do?
Uh-huh.
You know, and now your guy's injured, and you're like, well, that kind of ruins it for a little while.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that aspect. It's so unexpected of what you'll succeed at or fail at, even if it's something that you're particularly good at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. For sure.
What's funny about that is that like that's quintessentially the burning wheel, is like failing rolls forces you to like change your character. And for some people that just like it's harder than others to like wrap their heads around that as like this is the game. And like you know, I'm sure all of us as we started learning burning wheel, we're like, this is so hard.
Well, my example is, you know, I just tried to scale a wall. Like, you know, I don't think it was a particularly big wall, and immediately I failed, and I was struck by lightning, and I was like injured for, you know, the next few scenes. And I was like, I just tried to climb a wall. That's all I tried to do.
Well, to be fair,
you got struck by lightning because you repeatedly asked gods to give you favor and failed.
Yeah.
So I think the wall was sort of just aggravating circumstances.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think it was you did the faith roll to just get through the gate, right? Like you were stuck at the gate, and you're like, I'm going to pray to the gods to just like miraculously get me through here and like let me in. And then, yeah, of course, you get struck by lightning. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing about Burning Wheel, right? Is like that is the way the game works. And for me, that's like the best part about it, is just how like all of the characters are forced to like bring everything they possibly could to bear if they actually care on succeeding at something. And it's always incredibly tense when we have those rolls where it's like, I have a lot of dice, but I still could fail this.
And that happened so many times.
Yeah.
Not to me.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
but-
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, playing off that, right? Like the fun thing about, and I think I've talked about this in those like little behind the scenes things that we've been doing throughout when I've been releasing the episodes with you guys individually, is that concept of like this game, because it's like the first thing we did streaming wise, and it was the first time that like Josh and Adam were doing stuff with us. It definitely like set the tone for like everything that would come after it in a lot of fun ways, both in terms of like, we think of RPGs through the lens of Burning Wheel pretty much all the time now, but also like it created a lot of the fun, like kind of player mythos things, such as Connor constantly failing rolls. And that's like his shtick in life, is just to fail. Another one that comes to mind that I have written down here is that Jared being a fate farm despite not knowing how to play the game. I feel like that's just a thing that happens in all RPGs now, is that Jared somehow just ends up succeeding at any character he ever plays, not knowing how to play the game, but he just does somehow.
I think Jared doesn't necessarily need to know how to play the game because he knows how to play the game master.
That is,
I can't think
There you
of
go.
too many situations where Jared has wanted to do something insane with his character, and it hasn't been something he's been able to talk Caleb into.
Mhm.
Yeah, you've let me get away with like half the time. Like when we're making my character, I'll make some things like literally I'm completely joking, expecting you to say, "No, that's stupid," and you're just like, "Yeah, let's go with it." And I'm like, "Hey, I'm fine with it. Let's go."
Yep. And that is how, of course, Alphonse ended up in an incestuous relationship with his sister at the very beginning of the game. Yep.
And you're the one who told me about gray shades.
Yes, to my never-ending chagrin, I did do that. But I've come up with in-game reasons now for why Dylan and Alphonse have gray shades and the rest of the people don't, which I'm excited to explore in later seasons of Crow Inquisitors. So yeah, going off of what Adam was saying, is there like a favorite scene or sequence that like jumps to anyone's mind as like, oh, this is what I think of when I think of Crow Inquisitors season 1, and like I really love this moment?
For me, it's probably the opening sequence where none of us at all really knew where we were going with this or what was going to happen. And so kind of the way that each of our characters were responding to the threat of just, dying right
Being
there.
executed, yeah.
Right. That's the execution, like how each of us responded to that kind of shows what we intended for the characters, right? And kind of where we thought we were going to go way back at the beginning of it all,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that. Like that opening sequence, from being in prison to being exonerated, like is, I think, definitely like up there in top favorite things about Crow Inquisitors, because it is, it's so evocative. And honestly, I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure we all knew going into it that like you guys are going to be exonerated, right? Because like the pitch of the game was Medieval Suicide Squad, but it was still so fun to see like to play out that whole thing, and you guys desperately attempting to like get out of it somehow, or at least some of you. Like I think it was a great introduction to the characters, like you were saying, Josh, for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts, especially like in season 1. Like that makes our game, I'd say like unique. In most like RPGs, everyone starts out, if not like knowing each other or at least on friendly terms, whereas we're all openly antagonistic, and the only thing keeping us from killing each other is the threat of death.
Yeah.
And that antagonism in the early days, I personally fed off of it.
Yeah,
we could tell.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts too, for sure.
Yeah, and that brings up another part of the mythos of the players, and that's David all constantly being the antagonist.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? Like you were all in some ways antagonistic towards each other, but like Dellen was like at the forefront of like, yes, Alphonse, I will cut out your tongue if you make a misstep here. And that antagonism has continued on in many characters that David has played.
Oh, I feel like Cantarius was there just as well. Cantarius was openly antagonistic much longer and like into season 2.
Probably true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure true. I definitely like, especially with Alphonse specifically, I was definitely like out to get him for a long time.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I know we don't want to like necessarily get into like spoilers of season 2, but I'm honestly curious like when even that changed in my own mind. I'm trying to remember, but yeah. Or if it changed significantly at any point, really.
I don't really remember a point where it like hard stopped in my memory that he just kind of stopped.
Yeah, there is one scene it specifically stops in.
It does? Okay.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. That's the big spoiler.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I remember you were talking about. Yeah. Anybody else? Favorite scenes, sequences?
I wouldn't say you can go, David.
I was going to say it's a little self-gratifying, but fighting the big battle with the knights, not just because
that's season 2. That's season 2.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
Man, it all bleeds together in my head. I'm sorry. Well, spoilers, I guess.
I mean, all we know is you get into a big battle with knights, and it's fine.
I was just gonna say I just enjoyed all the dice. Really, was the fun part. But
that's the grab to watch season 2.
Yeah. Oh yeah, season 2 is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I apologize. I'll try and recontextualize. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I mean, the end of season 1 is like when you guys leave that little town. So Dellen spent a whole bunch of time training with Yuma to like be a better swordsman and talking about forward motion and stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that's where we are currently But yeah, Adam, what was yours?
I was just gonna say I really liked as we were getting to know each other, kind of like what Josh was saying. You know, the unlikely conversations and little adventures between unlikely characters. The pairs up of like people who don't normally interact, and they're like, okay, I don't really know you as much as I know the other guys.
Yeah,
and then you have these just awkward conversations, and you're just like, I don't know you as much as the other guy, but and then just the snarky comments or just funny comments that kind of made the group kind of connect more, or the individual characters connect more, and have their own like adventures with each other.
Yeah, the two that come to mind for season 1 for me with Theo is one, Theo and Alphonse having that conversation with Narani, and like Theo like trying to push Narani onto Alphonse to like get off his back. And then also the scene where you and Antonius are interrogating that assassin dude, and you guys have this weird like good cop bad cop situation going on where like Theo's constantly threatening the dude and saying like, yeah, we're gonna kill you, and then Antonius is like, no, we're not, don't worry about it. Because you're right, exactly. Right? Like no one knew that was what that's like scene with Antonius and Theo would look like, but that as soon as it happened, we were like, oh yeah, this is probably what it would look like.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I remember enjoying that. I think I squared off with pretty much every other character for authority at some point, I think.
I think so, yeah. In one way or another, yeah.
Yeah, I love trying to like make everyone else try to oppose Dellen. Yep.
Yeah, now that I think about it, that was basically your goal. You're trying to get me to not be empowered in one way or another. And I think pretty much every character at some point like put their foot down, and I was like, everyone was trying to pull the reins. I mean, which makes sense because we all hated each other. So.
Right, exactly. Episode 1, like literally, Alphonse like nudges Antonius into like taking a stand against Dellen and being like, you will not kill Alphonse because we'll all die. Yeah,
that was the scene I specifically had in mind. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Did everybody do a scene? Oh, Connor, did you do one? What's your favorite scene? Yeah. Is it when you murdered you murdered an entire family with magic staff?
That was my least favorite.
My child, you murdered my child.
Hey, it's still not confirmed or denied whether or not.
I mean, you say it so many times throughout the campaign.
It's very clear. Also, I assume that there's a spoiler alert at the beginning of this episode, right?
Oh yeah, I mean this is for if you've watched season 1 and
Right.
you want
It
the
is-
postmortem. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. But I will thank you, Connor, because that was like one of the big catalysts of change for Alphonse.
Yeah, thanks for murdering the
Oh,
little
that's
girl,
it.
Connor. Appreciate it.
My maybe or may not daughter. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't even know
Yeah, I'm
his
trying
own
to think.
children.
It's been a while since I listened to season 1, but I don't think I had any particularly like favorite moments in season 1. I feel like season 1 was really a struggle for me playing Kentarius of trying to
Mhm.
figure out what his role was with the rest of the group.
Yeah.
But
There's
I
some
remember like
but-
interrogating those children.
Oh,
as we were coming into town.
yeah.
That was a fun
Catching a
moment
rock.
for Kentarius.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Oh, man.
probably being intimidating to the invaders of the
Yep.
of the temple.
Uh-huh. That's the quintessential Kentarius moment in that season for me.
Batman
Is like
moment.
yeah, exactly. Where you shoot a crossbow at them, miss, but you
Just
try to
completely
use that
miss,
opportunity to like intimidate
Yeah.
them and be like the next you used a Darkest Dungeon quote. You were like, curious
Yeah.
is the trap maker's art, his efficacy unseen by his own eyes.
Yeah, so that was fun.
That was
I
good.
definitely enjoyed that.
The other one that comes to mind for Kentarius for me though is just this most recent episode 10, where Kentarius has that really good moment with the monk he got to train him in like will. And like the monk is seeing how like dark Kentarius is, and he's just like trying to push him towards the light, and then eventually like Kentarius just snaps on him and is like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should listen to episode 10 because that's my favorite part for sure of episode 10 is that
okay.
scene.
Okay, I have not listened to episode 10
Yeah,
yet.
you should. It's really good. Yeah, that scene particularly.
There's also some fun stuff early on with your like sensing magic. That was sort of a cool. It didn't last very long before you figure out what was going on, but it was still a pretty cool like reveal. I don't know how much we spoiled the reveal before we got there. I think we did it kind of heavily, but it was still pretty cool to see.
We hinted at the reveal because Connor like halfway through the season just starts making untrained magic sight checks, and everybody's like,
Right.
"Why are you doing that?"
Uh-huh.
And we don't really explain it. But then yeah, we find out at the end, episode 9. His proverbial and real eyes are opened.
All right, yeah, for sure.
Yep. But I like that little arc. I don't think we knew that going into season 1, but I think pretty early on in season 1, Connor and I figured out what was happening there. So that was fun for me. Let's see here. Oh, I was just looking at a question. What are your guys' like favorite characters besides your own? Like thinking about back through season 1, and maybe it's like interactions that your character had with them, but just in general, like a character that stands out to you is like, oh, I really like this. NPC or other player character. Just like the first one that comes to your mind is like, I really enjoyed watching this character be played on screen.
So I'm probably farthest removed from Crow Inquisitors season 1. I haven't listened back through much of it, besides I think the first episode and then the little postmortem you and I did.
Mm-hmm.
But I really have fond memories of the town blacksmith.
Oh yeah, August. Yep.
August, yeah. I remember being very devastated to what happened to that family, and August kind of was that first bit of normalcy for Antonius since however many years it was when he got thrown in prison for the first time, right? Like, and so I think that was a really special character for Antonius. And I still have fond memories of him, even if I don't remember any of the specifics.
No, yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, that's the sort of stuff that makes you know that there was some sort of specific moments because you still remember it, like, and have that, like, remember the feeling that you had when he, like, died and all that stuff. Yeah, from what I remember of season 1, like, that's totally true, right? Antonius, like, actually got to just be a blacksmith for a while again. And then even after August died, in episode 10, when we're doing like the 2.5 months of downtime, that's what Antonius spends his time doing, is just being the town blacksmith for August since he died. And that's just a really cool moment. And it was a cool moment too, because he became that town blacksmith, but then really didn't connect with anyone during that time. Like, I asked you the question, I was like, did you make any friends? Like, And you were just like, no, I don't think Antonius would. Like, he just kind of puts himself into his work and maybe has, slight like conversations obviously with people, but like he never really connects with anyone. And that kind of set the tone for who Antonius was going into season 2 then too. So I always really enjoyed those parts.
I think the character that I really liked was Cantarius. I think Theo kind of thought the way I actually did. Like I thought I was thinking through my character about how I saw Cantarius as like a obviously a really troubled character, but it was almost like he was pushing down an urge to be good, but by shoving it out and kind of covering it with the sins of his past and kind of being afraid of his past and not feeling worthy or too far gone to actually become good. And so it seemed like a struggle or internal struggle. And I think that's why Theo kind of trusted him, even though he did have a really dark background. He kind of saw like a light of good that could be revealed at some point, and that when it came down to a dire situation, that Theo kind of trusted him to do the right thing, even though he knows we're all criminals in one way or another. He just kind of saw that good in him. One way or another.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, shucks.
Yeah, no, I love Cantarius too. I think he is a very evocative character, and part of the interesting part of the draw for me with Cantarius is that it did take Connor so long to figure out what the character was, and that struggle of like figuring out in game but also out of game was really evocative to me. And like it felt like not only was Connor struggling with Cantarius himself, but it felt like Cantarius was struggling with himself.
Yeah.
So it felt really real.
Yeah, that identity question that Cantarius struggled with, and the way it played out was kind of I think on a more meta level, a kind of a cool way for viewers to really connect with the character in terms of like
the Christian struggle, like a bodily desire to do evil, but a spiritual guide to actually do good and to not follow those desires. Kind of that's kind of what I was feeling like a light represent. Yeah.
That's exactly what I was intending the whole time. Wow, I'm so glad you noticed that.
yes. Because I was thinking that the whole time, and that's why Theo was like, I see that, I feel the same exact way, and so he was kind of like supporting Cantarius even when he, kind of did bad things. He's like, I know there's a struggle within you, and it's reflecting the same struggle we all have, except maybe Dylan, but.
Dylan still had it. He just hit it better than everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, that was the metaphor.
Yeah, that was it.
That was
the whole time, you guys.
It
took you so long to catch on.
I'm sorry. I'm dense when it comes to that particular. Like, I don't even know why. No, when characters are metaphor, that's what's difficult for me, because like characters are characters. They're not more than that, are they? No, or that explains why. So I never really understood why Theo kept trying to connect with Cantarius. I'm like, you don't have anything in common.
Yeah.
What is this?
It's kind of like both of them, like Theo and Cantarius, is like they both recognize that they are bad people. Like it's not like, I'm a good person if I do bad things. It's like, no, we are bad people, but there still is hope for a future. You just have to go after it and jump on it, and have to fight the urge to shove it away or to push it out.
Yeah. I'm actually remember that now. I think Connor and I did talk about that at the very beginning, but I've since forgotten like that was the initial like impetus for Cantarius's character. In a lot of ways, it took Cantarius a long time to get there, to really like fully realize that. But that makes sense. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else?
My favorite NPC would probably be Achia, because she was literally the perfect red herring.
Yes. So I do want to talk about that.
Yeah, Ichi was great.
Yeah. It was so fun for me. Ichi is the abbess.
Oh, okay.
That's her like actual name, even though you guys almost never call her that.
The abbess, yes.
And then Jared consistently mispronounces the abbess the entirety of season 1.
Misspelling it.
Yeah, he calls her the arbiter at one point. Actually, that might have been Adam, but yeah, everyone was just like mispronouncing or misspelling that. But yeah, I mean,
that drove me nuts.
I added about 30 S's.
Every time you say
Adam,
that,
Adam, I have I have like 7 years of unresolved something. Can you say abbess properly for me, please?
Abbess.
Thank you.
Closure.
Yep.
Nah, just kidding. That's funny.
But yeah, right. Like Ichia was like the red herring of the entire like episode. What is it? Episode 3. Yeah, you first get into the town, and then the first roll that gets made by Cantarius is his intent was find out something heretical. And so I gave him something heretical, right? Like it was like a woman preaching. She's not supposed to be doing that, but like it wasn't actually connected to the real cult activity going on. But as soon as Cantarius comes back to the place where you guys are all staying, he's just like, all right, guys, we found it. Let's do it.
And Connor was so murder hungry. It's just like, okay, let's go kill her.
So I guess in one sense, that was kind of you like explaining like how Burning Wheel works and like teaching us how Burning Wheel works by being like, you got to be more specific with your like instructions, but I had no clue.
Right.
I feel like I didn't know I needed to be more specific with my like specific
intent.
What's the word? Just specifics of like my role. And so I feel cheated looking back on it and you criticizing me for it. It's really funny.
I mean, it's a work in progress, right? Like that was part of the entirety of season 1 is like all of us figuring out how to do it. And yeah, I mean, that was partially my intention was to like, be like, okay, you didn't do the right intent. So here's something that is within your intent, but won't actually give you what you want. But yeah, no, I had fun with that. And it was glorious to see how quickly everything like went into disaster mode there. And just like all fell apart as Adam and Jared tried to go like save the abbess from what the assumed Cantarius and Antonius were going to do.
It wasn't assumed. Connor was like, we're going to go murder her.
I think Theo's reasoning was very like physical and visual. So I think because it was like, didn't she look exactly like my dead wife?
Yes, but you only knew that after you went there, right? So I think at first you just saw that Alphonse left and you were like following Alphonse and like, whoa, what's going on? Okay. And then you got there and you were like, oh.
This changes
saw
things.
The abbess before
no one saw the abbess before you guys went to the abbey itself. Cantarius just heard rumors.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm talking about like the time when we got like kidnapped, when Theo and I got kidnapped.
Oh yeah, I mean that was at the end of the season.
Yeah. That's when Connor and I think Antonius were both like, yep, let's just go murder her.
No, that was like at the point where you guys already knew like who was the cultists and it was mainly Dylan at that point because so I played the red herring twice, right? At the beginning, I was like, oh, it's the Abbey. That's the cult. And then you went there and then the cult attacked the Abbey and it's like, oh, it's not them. And then there was like some sort of weird ritual thing. And you were like, is this still part of the cult? And then I had it point back to the Abbey. And you were like, wait, has she been part of the cult all along? And no, she has never been part of the cult, but there's another thing going on. So yeah, there's two different kind of like red herring moments there. But yeah, I enjoyed that sequence of events trying to play with the expectations there because, you know, I knew that I wanted to do something like that because otherwise it would literally have just been, hey, there's a cult. You find the cult. You destroy the cult. The end. Which isn't interesting. But I also wanted to, you know, introduce this like more cosmological arc going on. But yeah, I enjoyed that stuff. for sure. But yeah, Ichi, I think is a very interesting character, because she was lying a lot the entire time, and had a bunch of secrets in the background, and it gave me much GM glee to have all that stuff running in the background unawares of all of you. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you're ever going to like remaster. Probably not, because it didn't go anywhere. But I just listened to the Necropolis episode, and it was fun seeing her in that as well, being much different in a different situation.
I was so sad that there wasn't more.
Yeah, so I've been listening back through everything, and so I just listened to that one myself, and I was planning on editing it, but then I listened to that episode, and I'm like, we don't do anything, like nothing happens.
Oh, we just get Ichi out of the city. That's it.
And that's
Although
it.
Marin is a lot of fun to play.
No, for sure. But it just doesn't go anywhere, and it promises that it will go anywhere when it doesn't deliver. So I'll probably just not add that to the. And we already have enough bonus stuff in that season that I don't necessarily need to add anymore.
I do want to play that character again, though.
Yeah. Okay.
I would love to have be with that character at some point in time.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I don't know how to say this without spoilers, but he should end up with Theo and
Siegfried.
Siegfried, yeah.
I can see that.
Would be
okay. Making notes.
Siegfried would get along with him.
Yes, 100%.
Oh, that would be amazing. Yeah, that has to happen for sure.
Yeah. And you can find out more about that by continuing to listen. Season 3 of Crow Inquisitors is actually listenable. So feel free to do that.
Yeah.
Or I'm not in your basement for season 3.
Exactly. Yeah.
I forgot that I just came over to your house for a while
and just use my laptop.
That's so funny.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem was like we were still using the Roll20 audio and video, which is just not ideal. It's not very easy to mute yourself on there either, as easy as it is for Zoom. So it was not very fun. Other question I have here is, looking back on like the entirety of season 1, does a clear arc for your character stand out? And if so, was that intentional? Like I know we've talked about like Kentarius just having his general struggle, and by the end of it, he's still struggling with it. So there's not much of the main arc I can see for Kentarius at least is like the blind arc, of like becoming not blind. But I'm curious if there's any others that jump out to you guys.
Alphonse's arc doesn't really start until near the end. Like after everything's happened and Connor murders my maybe daughter. But yeah.
Well,
Alphonse's
I think obviously
arc doesn't really start until season 2.
Yeah.
There's obviously a big arc between Alphonse and Dellen, being brothers and hating each other and stuff. Well, mostly Dellen hating Alphonse, and also finding out why that is and whether or not that's based on accurate information. So that's a lot of, I don't know. I don't remember if that's was all in the first season, but
it's not. Yeah,
I didn't think so. But like that, the beginning of that whole thing is definitely Dellen's probably largest arc. That and also his whole religious waffling with Yuma.
Yeah, I think Dellen probably has the most clear arc in season 1. And if I was like to write season 1 as a novel, Dellen would be the main viewpoint character probably.
Yeah, he has a lot of like change in his like theology and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot less strict.
Yeah. But yeah, the more I'm thinking about it, the more you guys were just talking there, I definitely am seeing like really season 1 and 2 are 2 parts of the same whole in a lot of ways, right? Most of the arcs that get started in season 1 finish in season 2.
That's why I have so much trouble separating them.
Yeah, it's definitely true. Because season 3 is very different from season 1 and 2. So
yeah, for sure. And I play a totally different character. So
yeah, season 1 starts with like Dellen. It starts with Dellen's arc, and then it like completes in season 2, and then Alphonse's change is in season 2, whereas Kentarius starts in season 2 and then like comes to fruition in 3.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah. I feel like I don't know if Theo or Antonius have actually gotten completions to arcs yet.
I would say so. I think the arc kind of, I'm not going to reveal anything in season 3, but it kind of is anticlimactic, and like it kind of concluded his arc, but it wasn't satisfying enough. Like it kind of wasn't. Like it needed more, or maybe he thought that his arc was changed. Like he's like, oh, my goal is done, but is that really like what I wanted? Is that really gonna? I remember that. Like all I want, am I done now?
And then obviously Josh.
That's what kind of happened.
Yeah. And then obviously Josh didn't play Antonius for season 3. But I have some plans for Antonius in the future of Crow Inquisitors. He's still around.
So Antonius is always kind of thinking about it. Antonius has spent a lot of time looking for his place. Right? Where does he belong and fit now?
And it doesn't help that every single time you like start to find something, Caleb destroys it.
Yeah, right.
You're welcome.
I almost feel like he doesn't really need so much of a conclusion to his arc as much as, or maybe his conclusion to his arc could be something more along the lines of being okay with not having a place.
Right.
Just coming to terms with being transient.
Yeah.
Just like I'm here and that's all that there is and that's okay. As opposed to trying to find that. Yeah. Because I think a lot of that too reflects me as a player at the time, not really knowing how to play the character or what the character could do. And so I never really felt like he had a spot in the group that wasn't just Swiss Army chainsaw. Right. He's got a lot of extra features, but it's unwieldy.
Yep.
But when he's got the one thing he's really good at, he's really, really good at it. Right?
Yeah, I definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think there is more stuff because I just finished listening to season 2, and I think that arc definitely finds a little bit more like concrete. There are some concrete answers to some of those questions in season 2. So wait for that and listen to it when it comes out. But I definitely think that's probably still true. Largely about Antonius's mega arc is just like kind of still coming to terms with all that stuff. But yeah, I'm excited to continue playing with that maybe in the future. Question mark. But yeah. Trying to think of here's a good one. What is your guys's like? We can just pull back the curtains on this and go ahead and roast me. What are your least favorite parts about season 1 of Crow Inquisitors?
The staff.
The staff, yeah.
Now your voice being gone sounded appropriate. The staff.
Having you murder an entire family, I think that. The staff.
Yeah, to be fair, like when I was listening back to that episode, and we talk about this. I don't remember. Oh, we talked about this in Idle Inspiration a couple episodes ago. We talked about the fact that I didn't give you a role at that point to like. I basically, because all that happened was like you were planning on having Antonius like try to break it down in the forge, right? But at the end of that episode, you literally just go in and throw it into the forge without Antonius's preparation. And I don't know what it would be really, but I feel like the more I was listening to that, I feel like I should have had you roll something to like attempt to do it right. But I don't know what that would be. But I still feel like that's probably what I should have done as a GM is like find something there. Because
didn't they try to make a roll to get it out?
Yes. So they had to make a roll to make sure that people didn't get like hurt by the gas.
There was a bunch of subsequent rolls, but like every single one failed.
Right. Yeah. That's my thought too. Because like, I mean, there is a situation where someone tries a thing that just does not have the ability to work and they don't know that. That's totally fine.
It's already established in the canon that he's tried 1,000 different things and nothing's worked.
And then there was rules to try and keep people from dying. Although I did wonder at the time, how has he not put this in a fire and killed himself with smoke before? But
so do you guys want me to reveal? I actually have an answer to that now.
Yeah. I remember asking that question. I think you just said you had an answer, but
I think I'm fine with revealing this answer now. It's like something that reveals more about the larger cosmological stuff. But I actually came up with it, and it doesn't really spoil a whole bunch. So the reason is because it was a forge started by Antonius. And Antonius is also one of the prophesied people, right? So it was the connection there of like Antonius is the one who started this forge, and Kantarius has never met any of you guys before, right? And if he had, he probably could have worked with you guys to do something like this, but he hadn't up to this point. So yeah,
literally,
Antonius
told
is
me this.
Let's say again, Connor.
You literally never told me this.
I didn't know until I was editing this season.
Oh, really?
I didn't really have an answer to it. And then I thought about it and I was like, no, that's the answer. Of course.
Okay, that makes more sense.
This editing Crow Inquisitors has helped me to figure out answers to a lot of questions that I didn't have answers to before. Because I was just listening to the same stuff over and over again, thinking about it. So, but so yes, it was Antonius's fault, really.
Excuse you?
No, not really.
Antonius did nothing wrong.
Yeah, it's true. He was just trying to be a friend and help Kantarius out with something, and then Kantarius broke through all of your safety measures and threw it in without any preparation. So, but
in terms of least favorite part of the season for me, and this, I think, reflects more on my inexperience. And I keep harping back on this, but like this was my first time playing an RPG that wasn't like a one-off, haha, this is fun, let's do it for a day kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
So I didn't know how to navigate the antagonism in the party. And
I could see that being
as a
rough.
player, it grated on me David and Jared constantly being at one another's throats. Well, primarily David being at Jared's throat.
Yeah.
Like that grated on me, that frustrated me for a little while until I was able to settle in and kind of understand like how to play around it. But it was definitely probably my least favorite part of the season, was trying to get my head around it, even if it, prepared me for, later now when there's conflict in parties and groups, it's like, okay, but this has nothing on the character that literally was going to hurt his brother and we were all going to die. And he didn't care because his brother needed to die. Like at this point, some of the inter-character conflicts in Orphans doesn't seem quite as high stakes.
Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That was actually one of the things that I was thinking about a lot too. It's just like watching and listening to the way that this group kind of came into being through Crow Inquisitors, right? Because like David and Connor and Jared and I have been playing RPGs for a long, long time. But then adding you and Adam and Trevor into the mix. Well, I guess Trevor's been playing too, but just figuring out what that group dynamic is a lot of what season 1 of Crow Inquisitors was. And part of that, was like introducing Josh to the way we played role-playing games. Which is generally, like, I think even when we're on the same party, and like all came together like Savage Tide style, there was still a lot of antagonism.
Though to be fair, I think that was probably the most antagonist character I've probably ever played still. I don't know, maybe Caspian. Caspian's...
That's true. He was like a literal villain.
Yeah, except I feel like he still ended up being more helpful than Dylan was.
Yeah, that's probably true.
But so I could see why that might have been a difficult interaction for your first time. Usually it helps to have some friends in the characters when you're learning the ropes. So I apologize for that. I guess I didn't really consider it. I can't really think of like a part that frustrated me a lot, but I might just not be remembering off the top of my head. But I think being able to just kill the problems I didn't like helped a lot. So I don't really have too many of those, I don't think.
Yep.
And I don't know if I failed like a single talk roll the entire.
I think you failed one. I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure you failed one in season 1.
Like I'm pretty sure the only ones I failed were ones where it's like, I don't care about this roll, so I'm not going to fork anything in for the challenging test.
Yeah.
Well, you failed the first roll you ever did.
No, I succeeded. I talked David down from killing me.
Wait, no, but before that, you
that's true. Yeah, you tried
escaping or
getting the guards
taunting the guards or whatever.
But he was also rolling a conspicuous test. He wasn't rolling persuasion, he was rolling conspicuous, which he had much lower in. So
I feel like you didn't fail a single roll where you were able to waggle your eyebrows seductively at whoever you were talking to.
Yeah.
I never failed at talking to a woman.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much true.
Much like real life.
Oh no, except Jared, you did fail a falsehood check against no, you failed that's what it was. You failed a persuasion check against Achia the first time you were trying to convince her that like the Crow Inquisitors were out to get her. And that's what started the whole thing of like,
that's right.
You didn't just immediately get the abyss on your side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yep.
Good time.
Yeah, that was a bad time to fail.
Yeah. It was great for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments. So the fun part for me as the GM going through this season and being able to cut out things is I can actually cut out things that I don't like. And it wasn't anything important necessarily, right? But it was like minor things where I'm like, that was just a dumb call, Caleb. You should just, I don't know why you framed it that way. I'm just going to cut this out entirely. Like the one that comes to mind is like, there was like a bloody versus you guys were doing to like fight for Cantarius, and he was like laying there bleeding, and I have Sergio, Alphonse and Sergio are both in the fight with you guys, and you guys failed the bloody versus, and I had, or maybe Ty or something like that, but you guys like got wounds as like the consequence, and I had Sergio be the one who shot Alphonse accidentally and gave him a wound. And I was just, I got to that point in there, and you guys obviously were like, that's so dumb in the game itself. And I was like, yeah, that is dumb. Why did I do that? That just like makes Sergio seem incompetent randomly for no good reason. So I just cut it out entirely. It doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, that's my least favorite.
When your uncle shot you with an arrow accidentally. Yeah.
I've got to say, you make us sound a whole lot like much more competent players than we were at the time. I don't know how much comes through in the finished product, but we spent a lot of time going, what does my character sheet have? How do I roll that again?
And I cut out
Can I fork
all of
this?
it.
Can I fork that?
Yep. Yeah,
What's a fork again? How do I fate point?
There are a lot of moments where I cut out dumb forks that people try to lobby for, where I'm just like, okay, this is just bogging. This is bogging down the game. It's pointless. Like it's obviously a dumb idea.
That's half of.
No, some of them that are funny.
How we play.
Some of them that are funny, I keep in. But like ones that are just like we waste time arguing about a fork that doesn't matter. I just cut that out. Those sorts of things just get cut out. I also, one of the main goofs that I make in season 1 is you have you guys roll observation tests for everything. When observation is actually a very particular skill made to find hidden things such as people and objects, not to like read people's moods or look to see if you notice something in your environment. So you guys, Dylan has a ridiculous observation skill, and he really shouldn't. Like, there's zero reason he should. He didn't do any observation.
Like, well, if we restructure the character, we can
we'll fix that. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, I'm scared of how powerful Dylan's going to be next season.
Yep. Yeah, Josh, you weren't there when we were talking about this, but I'm going to let the cast revamp their character slightly, since we will know way more about Burning Wheel, to like make it actually fit the character better and be a little bit more streamlined now that we know how all the rules work.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So Dylan is going to ungray shade his agility because it's a pointless gray shade, and he's just going to gray shade his sword. So which will give him many more stats.
Yeah, I am afraid of what characters David and Jared particularly are going to make.
We were talking about the other
I'm
night.
not going to revamp Alphonse.
Jared actually looked at his character sheet and he's like, I actually think I'm happy with the way Alphonse is right now. So
yeah,
I don't think there's anything I could do to make him more powerful because
Alphonse
like
is
over everyone. I feel like I've rolled the most.
Yeah, I think that's true. He went from having a 1 in speed at the beginning of the games. He has a 5 in speed now.
Yeah.
Oh,
I ran away.
Yeah, he ran a lot.
So many times.
Yep. Yeah. Any other general thoughts on the season, on the game, Burning Wheel as a system, thoughts on the world itself, anything like that?
Burning Wheel is still, I think, my favorite system.
Oh yeah, 100% me too. Yeah.
Like I'll always have like a spot in my heart for D&D.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I love D&D and I'll always, want to go back to it. But just as like an entire system, I think Burning Wheel is like the best.
Yes, agreed. I enjoy it tremendously.
I just love the how what's the word? Customizability, is that a word?
It is now.
Yeah. You basically make whatever you want.
Yeah, it's very concrete in the sense that like the game is very tight and like knows what it wants to do, but it also gives you a lot of freedom to, as if you can figure out how the game works, you can do a lot of stuff with it.
Yeah, the only downside is if you don't make your character right, they're useless.
Yes.
Yup.
Yes. Though to be fair, like the more I've thought about that, like I would love to do a game of Burning Wheel as a player, which I've really never gotten to do, which is sad. Except for that one play-by-post thing David and I were doing at one point.
Right, yeah.
But
we didn't do it for too long.
Yeah.
So.
And like that's the sort of thing that would, I'm sure, frustrate me as much as you guys, but like I would thrive off of it because that's the sort of game I love playing, is like where everything's just incredibly difficult and my character keeps failing over and over again. I love to play some just random peasant who constantly fails stuff and then just try to find a way to become an awesome person.
If you don't die in the first session.
Well, as long as I keep Persona around.
That's the trick.
And just don't play an assassin without
falsehood. Connor.
I love you, Connor.
Burning Wheel has such a steep learning curve.
Indeed.
I feel like we played that game for years between the 3 seasons of Crow Inquisitors and
other side things.
Right. Like I still don't grok that system. Like there are elements of it, yeah, I get, but I don't share the same love for it that y'all do.
It's all good.
But it definitely has colored the way that I look at RPGs now.
Yeah. Playing
5e, some Pathfinder, whole bunch of Powered by the Apocalypse. Like I still think of things in terms of like forks and
intent.
Stuff, and I really miss forks and intent is like 2 really big things for me. And when I can clarify things post roll, that blows my mind because every time I've been playing 5e probably longer. Well, I don't know. I feel like I'm more familiar with 5e, and yet every time I have to ask, can I wait? Do I have to declare my intent before I roll?
Yep.
Because Burning Wheel taught me so well very quickly how to write intents that weren't, or how to write intents to actually get across what I was trying to do.
Yep.
I think that is a helpful thing, really knowing what you're trying to do with a given role.
Yep.
Because some of the systems, particularly 5e, some of the social stuff, right? This is not real geared towards social.
Yeah.
So I could just kind of generally roll.
Yep.
I mean, like, I think I want to, what can you tell me about maybe, but if I, and it works, but having that more concrete intent really does, streamline things a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, honestly, Burning Wheel. Oh yeah, go keep going. You're good.
I was gonna say it streamline things a lot, or it just gives the GM a great opportunity for red herrings.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. I mean, so we were coming to Burning Wheel from, D&D 3.5 and the Mistborn Adventure game and the hero system, were the mains one we had been playing, which are all very OSR, like you just roll, and most of the mechanics of the game are just about like they don't dive as deeply into like how to set up rolls and figure out exactly what you're getting from a roll. There's so much more just like the GM and the players have to figure out for themselves. And going into Burning Wheel and then having this like intent and task system written out and like the explanations of like, here is how like a procedure to make a roll works. And I was like, this is so helpful. Like, I know how to make every roll. Like, we always know what's going to happen when you succeed or fail a roll. We always know like what the procedure is. There's no arguing back and forth about like trying to finagle things for your own benefit. Mechanically, like by virtue of the fact that there isn't a rule for it, right? Like Burning Wheel very clearly laid out, here's the stuff you can do, here's the stuff you can't do, here's the procedure in which to get it done. And that sense, colored everything I've done with TTRPGs for the better, I think. So, but yeah, at this point, I've read Burning Wheel all the way through like 3 times, and I'm fairly confident that I have it mastered, but only mastered as much as anyone can master any skill, right? Like there's always going to be something else that you figure out. And just the other day, I think I learned something new about Burning Wheel that I should have known for like years. So, yep.
Yeah, one thing we do a lot, especially in the beginning, is we roll before you give us the ob.
Yes.
And I try to switch that around a lot. Like that's the fun part about doing these editing stuff is I can actually like a bunch of the times where you roll without an ob, or you guys keep adding forks after the fact because we were still learning the system. I literally just like reverse the order on it in the audio so that it seems like we're actually playing it the right way.
That's hilarious.
I did that a lot to make it to make us seem more competent.
And you cut out the point where you're like, I should have given you an op.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
I can't even comprehend how much less work the later seasons are going to be for you in that
exactly.
sense. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yep. I won't be in your basement. We'll all have competent equipment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Some of us kind of knew what we were doing by then.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, because we won't be asking about rules. We won't be creating stuff as much. Hopefully. I
think season 3 of Crow Inquisitors is when we got to a comfortable level of competence with the Burning Wheel that we were able to really use it to its fullest extent. And so I'm excited to get to season 3 because I think that's my favorite season of Crow Inquisitors. But it'll be a while before we get there. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on any of this stuff? Stuff that you wanted to talk about and we haven't got to yet, or Adam had
mentioned the random love triangle you put me in again, as always.
Yes, I mean that by the end of season 1, that's only hinted at. Because
my
episode.
Jeez.
No, you're good. You're good. It's totally fine. Little minor spoiler for everybody. What I actually ended up doing, David, in episode 10, we talk about Maria, but I ended up just cutting all of that out because no one knew what we were talking about, and I think I think it's going to be more fun to just reveal that Dylan has like a secret lover in
fair.
season 2. Yes, Dylan having Yuma fall in love with him is a pretty fun turn of events for me.
Yeah, especially because it happened like right after I murdered everyone she knew, which was fun.
Yes, I listened to that sequence and I was like, I didn't have Dylan make a single roll to have this happen. I really should have done that. I don't know. I guess I just
if you
wanted
had, I would have
Yuma.
failed, and then it wouldn't have happened. So
that's fair. I guess really it was a punishment to you anyway because you didn't want that.
That was me failing.
Yeah. There you go. Yep.
Is that where the mythos of
The harem.
Mythos of David's harems.
Yep.
Is this season where that's kind of started, or
season
was this
one
a thing
at the very end of season 1? Yep. That's where the seed of it began. Though to be fair, like games we've done before Crow Inquisitors had seeds for it as well. Like I feel like I always threw some sort of random love interest at David specifically.
I don't think that was the first time.
Yeah, but I think it was the beginning of the love triangle though.
Right.
And the harem jokes particularly. Because I remember like Dallas had like that captain lady that was interested. You had a love interest there, but like there was never another person that was interested in.
No, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course you have the whole consistent thing of David makes a character who philanders around, and then the first person he sleeps with, he's like, well, I have to devote my eternal soul to this person because me as David wants to do that.
that's why I was like, when I made Caspian, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna make him have done all these terrible things already,
and then actually have a harem.
And then it'll make it a lot easier.
Yep.
Yeah, and he was a pretty terrible guy, so I feel like I did a good job there.
I think you did. Yeah, Caspian Goldvein was a fantastic villain, I think.
Oh, thank you.
Stay tuned to season 3 to meet him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah, any last thoughts? I don't want to keep you guys too long, but I also want to make sure we talk about whatever y'all are interested in talking about.
I'm going to try and find Dylan's new character sheet that he made because I can't find it now, and I'm like, all that work.
Yep. Yeah, I really enjoyed season 1. It was so fun for me to return to it as a GM, not only do that cutting and splicing that I was talking about earlier and like making it the best it can be, but also I had so much fun with all the bonus content I made for it. If you guys haven't had a chance to look at it, you should check out, like, I wrote short stories for most of your characters. I wrote like some lyrical songs for some of the characters. And that was just super fun to me to like return to a setting that I know and love and then add fun new content to it. And really this podcast has been an excuse for me to write music and fiction without having to start some giant thing. And
yeah, I mean, you've already done the world building work. You might as well.
Exactly. Yeah. There's so many things to talk about and explore. And I have, what's funny world building about Saragon is that it started off when we were playing Crow Inquisitors for the first time, right? It was still part of the old 374th cycle mythos. But now it's become the first thing in the new kind of like RPG Cosmere thing that I want to do. And so it's been fun for me to do this podcast because I get to, iron out those details for what I want it to be officially for this new version of it and cut out anything that isn't part of the world anymore. That was, most of it's like just random snippets that I talk about that aren't important. But it's been fun to kind of give a final version to this stuff. The perfectionist in me is very satisfied with what I've been able to do. So, yeah. So if you guys haven't listened to the other Crow Inquisitor stuff, you guys should take a listen. It's all there now. You can listen to the entirety of season 1, beginning to end, with a bunch of fun bonus content. So, thanks for joining me, guys. This was fun. Adam had to duck out mid-session, mid thing here, so that's why he hasn't talked in a bit. But yeah, we'll probably do another one of these in the future, but that'll probably be a while. So yeah. My plan for Year of Raging Winds is to be able to release all 5 episodes week after week, like like 5 weeks in a row.
I
in the
really
summer sometime.
Do one of these for Year of Raging Winds.
Yeah, no, sure, we can do that.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
Because
yeah, I don't think I'll do like legit bonus content for it, like I did with Crow Inquisitors, but yeah, we can do a postmortem. I'm down with that. There's lots of fun stuff there to talk about.
Yeah, Connor has some explaining.
Honestly, what would be really fun is, David, if when I release those, if you would listen to them and then come on that postmortem and be like the audience member, because you weren't part of it, but just like give us your thoughts as like just listening to it without having played in it. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm definitely interested in listening back through that one because like
John Toast is so much fun, man.
John Toast is such an iconic character.
Yep.
And so many of those moments have been lost into the cloud of memory because so many things have happened since then for me that like going back and being able to relive that character would be amazing.
Yeah.
So I think he as a character is actually informed. I used him to explore some stuff that I've then taken into my real life. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite parts about playing TTRPGs is like using characters to kind of develop your own thoughts about stuff. So that's always fun. Cool stuff. Well, yeah, we'll probably be back at some point with that. Thanks for talking, guys. This was fun.
Yeah, thanks for hosting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Adios.